The scorching sun beat down upon the desolate plains of Midian, casting long, wavering shadows across the parched earth. For 40 years, Moses had walked these lands, his once princely robes replaced by the simple tunic of a shepherd. His hands, once accustomed to the soft parchment of scrolls, now calloused from gripping a shepherd's staff. He was 80 years old, a man whose youth had been spent in the opulent palaces of Egypt, raised as a son of Pharaoh's daughter, yet whose heart had always yearned for the forgotten cries of his true people, the enslaved Israelites. His past was a distant echo, a memory of a rash act of justice, or perhaps vengeance, when he had struck down an Egyptian overseer for brutalizing a Hebrew slave. That single, defining moment had shattered his life of privilege, forcing him to flee into the vast, unforgiving wilderness. Here, in Midian, he had found refuge, a quiet life, and a family with Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro, the priest of Midian. He had settled, or so he thought, into the rhythm of tending sheep, of guiding them through rocky ravines and across sun-baked plateaus in search of sparse pasture. His days were filled with the bleating of lambs, the whisper of the wind, and the silent, ever-present expanse of the desert sky. Yet, beneath the surface of this tranquil existence, a quiet disquiet stirred. He was a man of two worlds, belonging to neither, a prince turned shepherd, a Hebrew raised an Egyptian, carrying the weight of a forgotten destiny. One day, as was his custom, Moses led his flock far into the wilderness, seeking fresh grazing grounds. The air shimmered with heat, and the silence was profound, broken only by the gentle clatter of stones beneath the hooves of his sheep. He guided them towards Horeb, the mountain of God, a place of stark, majestic beauty, known for its solemn peaks that seemed to touch the very heavens. It was a place of solitude, a sanctuary where the world's clamor faded, leaving only the raw essence of creation. As he ascended the rugged slopes, a sight unlike any he had ever witnessed arrested his gaze. There, amidst the thorny acacia bushes, a bush was ablaze. Flames, vibrant and fierce, danced and writhed, consuming the air around it with an ethereal glow. Yet, miraculously, the bush itself was not consumed. Its leaves remained green, its branches intact, even as the fire roared within its core. It was a paradox, a living contradiction, a silent, burning question mark etched against the backdrop of the ancient mountain. Moses, a man of the desert, knew the destructive power of fire. He had seen countless bushes reduced to ash by a single spark. This was different. This was impossible. Curiosity, a rare visitor in his quiet life, compelled him forward. "I will now turn aside," he murmured to himself, his voice barely a whisper against the vastness, "and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt." He drew closer, his heart beginning to quicken with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The heat radiated outwards, a tangible presence, yet it was not the searing, destructive heat of a normal fire. It felt hoy. As he approached, a voice, deep and resonant, yet gentle and clear, spoke from the heart of the flames. It was not the voice of man, nor of wind, but something ancient, eternal, vibrating through the very air. "Moses, Moses." The sound echoed not just in his ears, but in the very core of his being. He stopped, frozen, his shepherd's staff clattering softly against a rock. His breath caught in his throat. "Here am I," he responded, his voice barely audible, a primal instinct to answer a call he did not yet understand. Then the voice, imbued with an authority that transcended earthly power, commanded, "Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground." Moses' hands trembled as he fumbled with the straps of his sandals, his mind reeling. Holy ground. He had never considered any patch of desert earth to be holy, yet the undeniable presence emanating from the burning bush left no room for doubt. He removed his sandals, feeling the cool, rough earth beneath his bare feet. a humbling sensation that grounded him even as his spirit soared with fear and wonder. He instinctively hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. The sheer magnitude of the moment was overwhelming, a direct confrontation with the divine that dwarfed all his previous experiences. "I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob," the voice declared, each name a hammer blow of revelation, connecting this inexplicable phenomenon to the very lineage of his people, to the ancient covenants. "I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey." Moses listened, his heart a tumultuous sea of emotions. The suffering of his people, a burden he had carried silently for decades, was known to this divine presence. The promise of deliverance, a dream he had long since buried, was now being spoken into existence. But then came the command that shattered his fragile peace, a directive so audacious, so utterly impossible, that it made his blood run cold. "Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt." "Who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt?" Moses stammered, his voice laced with disbelief and a profound sense of inadequacy. He was a fugitive, a shepherd, a man who had failed to save even one of his kinsmen. How could he, a man of no standing, no power, no eloquence, stand before the mightiest ruler on earth and demand the release of an entire nation? His past failures, his present humility, and his perceived lack of ability weighed heavily upon him. He was a man accustomed to the quiet solitude of the desert, not the thunderous halls of power. The very thought was absurd, terrifying, but the voice was unwavering. "Certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee, that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain." The promise of divine presence was a balm, but the task remained daunting. Moses pressed on, his doubts surfacing like rocks in a receding tide. "Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them?" He needed authority, a name, a sign that would compel belief from a people who had known only generations of servitude and despair. "And God said unto Moses, I am that I am." The words resonated with infinite power, a declaration of self-existence, of eternal being. And he said, "Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you." This was the ultimate name, a name that signified absolute sovereignty, presence, and unwavering faithfulness. Moreover, God said unto Moses, "Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations." Despite this profound revelation, Moses' fear persisted. The weight of the task, the sheer magnitude of confronting Pharaoh, a ruler who considered himself a god, seemed insurmountable. "But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee." He imagined the skepticism, the weary cynicism of a people whose hopes had been crushed time and again. They would see only Moses, the shepherd, not the messenger of the Almighty. "What is that in thine hand?" the voice inquired, its tone gentle yet firm. "A rod," Moses replied, clutching his shepherd's staff, the humble tool of his trade. "Cast it on the ground." Moses obeyed, and as the staff hit the dusty earth, it writhed and transformed, becoming a serpent, its scales shimmering, its tongue flicking menacingly. Moses recoiled in terror, scrambling backward. "Take it by the tail," the voice commanded. With a surge of courage born of obedience, Moses reached out and grasped the serpent. Instantly, it became a rod again in his hand. The miracle was undeniable, a tangible proof of divine power, a sign that could not be gainsaid. Put now thine hand into thy bosom. Moses slid his hand beneath his tunic. When he drew it out, it was covered in white, leprous scales, a horrifying sight. Put thine hand into thy bosom again. He complied, and when he withdrew it a second time, his hand was restored, clean and whole as before. Two signs, powerful and immediate, designed to overcome the disbelief of his people. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. Even with these miraculous assurances, Moses' deepest insecurity surfaced. O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech, and of a slow tongue. He had always struggled with words, preferring action to rhetoric, the quiet contemplation of the desert to the clamor of human discourse. How could he speak for God, for a nation, when his own tongue faltered? The divine patience was boundless. Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. The words were a gentle rebuke, a reminder that the Creator of all things was also the enabler of all abilities. Yea, Moses, in his profound humility and fear, still hesitated. O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. He was asking for someone else, anyone else, to bear this immense burden. Then the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, not a wrathful, destructive anger, but a righteous displeasure at his continued reluctance. Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee, and when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth. And I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God. The final piece of the puzzle, the provision for his perceived weakness, was given. God, in his infinite wisdom, had already prepared a helper, a voice for his chosen messenger. With every doubt addressed, every fear assuaged by divine promise and miraculous sign, Moses stood before the burning bush, no longer a hesitant shepherd, but a man transformed. The fire had not consumed the bush, but it had consumed his fears, his insecurities, his lingering attachment to his quiet life. He grasped the staff, no longer just a shepherd's tool, but the rod of God, imbued with divine power. The weight of its wood felt different now, lighter yet more substantial, a conduit for the miraculous. He returned to his father-in-law, Jethro, his face etched with a newfound resolve. Let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt, and see whether they be yet alive. Jethro, sensing the profound change in Moses, blessed his departure. Moses embraced Zipporah, a silent promise in his eyes, and with his sons he set out on the long journey back to Egypt, the land he had fled in shame, now returning as God's chosen instrument. The desert wind, once a companion to his solitude, now seemed to whisper of destiny. The sun, once a harsh master, now illuminated a path of divine purpose. The encounter at the burning bush was not merely a conversation, it was a profound spiritual awakening, a crucible in which a humble shepherd was forged into a leader. Moses, once slow of speech and fearful of man, now carried the authority of the Almighty. The fire that did not consume the bush became a symbol of God's enduring presence, his power to call the unlikely, to empower the weak, and to bring forth salvation from the most impossible circumstances. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril, with the stubbornness of Pharaoh and the despair of his people, But Moses now walked with a divine certainty. He carried not only the rod of God, but also the indelible mark of the burning bush in his soul, a testament to a God who sees, who hears, and who acts, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary for his divine purpose. The wilderness had prepared him, and the fire had called him, setting him on a path that would forever alter the course of history, leading a nation from bondage to freedom, guided by the very hand of the I Am.